Her credentials are rock solid, a Harvard graduate who worked in the George W. Bush White House. She helped run her family's small business back home. She's pro-life but argues for compassion and understanding of differing views. She also talks about something that's rare these days in Washington, compromise and working with Democrats.
What is your plan to convince your colleagues that we need to do something about climate change?
Great question. I'm glad this issue came up in this forum. I introduced legislation, and it's actually Republican-led, forcing members to put their name on legislation that acknowledges climate change, the human role in climate change, and the need for a solution.
I support the Mueller investigation. I support the Ethics Committee, making sure that there are no ethical lapses when it comes to our elected officials, and then the administration. The Mueller investigation, I think, is addressing many of those.
This committee is not about seeking the truth. It is a smear campaign against President Donald Trump, against Republican members of Congress, and against Trump voters across this country.
So Donald Trump has doubled down on his claim that the election is rigged against him. He won't say whether he'll accept the results, breaking a long tradition in our democracy. And it's not just Trump. A lot of people believe the election is somehow rigged. So for Congresswoman Stefanik and really all three candidates, what do you say to those voters? And do you see any evidence of widespread voter fraud either across the U.S. or here in this district?
Well, I disagree with Mr. Trump on this issue. The election is not rigged, and having run in a primary and general election before, I understand that the poll workers in our district, they're our neighbors, and what's uniquely American is there's a Democrat and there's a Republican. So I have full faith and confidence in the outcome of the election in this district and across this country, and I would urge candidates across this country to accept the outcome.
Would you vote to certify, and will you vote to certify the results of the 2024 election, no matter what they show?
Well, I voted not to certify the state of Pennsylvania because, as we saw in Pennsylvania and other states across the country, that there was unconstitutional acts circumventing the state legislature and unilaterally changing election law.
What about 2024? What about 2024?
We will see.
This has been a truly tragic day for America. Americans will always have the freedom of speech and the constitutional right to protest, but violence in any form is absolutely unacceptable. It is anti-American and must be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Do you still think it was a tragic day? Do you think that the people who stormed the Capitol should be held responsible to the full extent of the law?
I have concerns about the treatment of January 6 hostages.
42. We're about 5 miles out. We're trying to make our way through all this.
And I hope that we take away lessons from this past election cycle. I think we need to have a tone that reaches out to women.
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Whatever you want. Grab them by the pussy. I can do anything.
But I will continue to be critical, and I will continue to speak out when I disagree. I disagree with Mr. Trump's rhetoric towards women.
How do you read calling someone horseface from the President of the United States?
I think it's unacceptable. I disagree with the rhetoric. I've disagreed with the President's rhetoric numerous times when it comes to how he addresses women.
I gotta call him like I see him. There are some issues where I agree with him, and there are others where I disagree, and I have an independent record. So when I disagree, I'll keep saying so.
Talk about moral clarity. I want to ask you about something that former President Trump recently said. He referred to migrants as, quote, poisoning the blood of our country. This is language that the Biden campaign, others, says, quote, is parroting Adolf Hitler. Are you comfortable with former President Trump's comments?
Well, yet again, we have the media, which is so biased, which is reiterating whatever the talking points the Biden campaign is giving.
They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done. They poison mental institutions and prisons all over the world, not just in South America, not just the 3 or 4 countries that we think about, but all over the world. They're coming into our country from Africa, from Asia, all over the world. They're pouring into our country.
Put a very fine point on it. It sounds like you're saying if he were to ask you, the answer would be yes?
Well, I've said for a year now I'd be honored to serve in the next Trump administration.
Yet, for some reason, she's doing this act on the national stage, and I think we know what that reason is. It seems like she is attempting to stay in the ex-president's good graces so that she can be in his administration. But, Allie, I also want to hone in on what you pointed to that she said in that interview. The comment she made about not certifying the election or not committing to certify it is the tremor that could lead to the earthquake that could cause a tsunami after the election. They are already laying the groundwork that maybe they don't have to certify a Joe Biden win if Biden wins. That's extremely dangerous for democracy, and we're not ready for it.
Were there personal comments that were made that were hurtful?
Women, oftentimes, the comments are different, whether it's about appearance, attire. It's just different than male candidates. There are different challenges.
People made comments about the kind of tights you wear.
They did. I wear patterned tights, which are not, I mean, they're not that fashion forward. If you look around, for example, the halls of Congress, there are lots of staff members who wear patterned tights. They're very tasteful.